Today on Studio One, a new law will soon require everyone entering the U.S. to have a passport, but some worry it could do more harm than good. Also, professional photographers often have to work with models to get the right shot. We'll watch a photographer as she works with models that can be as stubborn as a mule. And Las Vegas would be a different place without its trademark neon glow. We'll spend a day in the life of a man who can bend light.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hello everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Monty Cashel.
And I'm Shannon Brewer.
Well, we have a lot of interesting stories to share with you today. One of them involving a man who brews his own beer at home. Many people do this, but the interesting part is that he's taken something that no one else has and used it as an ingredient.
It's going to be fun to find out just what that is.
Exactly. Also coming up on our show, not long ago it seemed like nearly every restaurant and grocery store carried some kind of low-carb option. We'll tell you why the Atkins diet is now on the decline.
Also, sports, war, and space battles are just a few scenarios captured in today's video games. We'll find out how these games are brought to life.
But first, here's today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. Residents of Florida are preparing for the arrival of Hurricane Wilma. As of Thursday, the storm was rated as a Category 4 with sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. Wilma is expected to hit Florida sometime Sunday. Area residents are preparing for the worst by boarding up buildings and gathering what they may need for relief efforts. Florida Governor Jeb Bush said Wednesday that the state has begun to stock up on such supplies as ice and water. A mandatory evacuation for Key West residents is set to begin Friday. San Francisco police continue to search for two of the children who were allegedly thrown into the San Francisco Bay by their mother. 23-year-old LaShawn Harris is accused of undressing and then dropping her three young children into the 55-degree water Wednesday night. One body was found that night, about 5 hours after police received a 911 call. Relatives of Harris say that she suffers from schizophrenia and was off her medication. Harris is being held on 3 counts of murder. The aftermath of Hurricane Katrina is still impacting many areas in the United States. High fuel prices are forcing many schools to rebudget their finances for this school year. Gas prices are significantly higher than 1 year ago. Now schools are having to cut budgets to keep buses running and schools heated. Many schools have already increased their annual fuel budgets by over 60%. To help save fuel and money this winter, many schools are looking for ways to combine bus routes and cut back on field trips.
We'll definitely have to look at how we schedule away ball games and some of the activities that we send children to. So we absolutely will be looking at cutting our miles driven.
School administrators are hoping that these cutbacks, along with a mild winter, will help them make it through the school year. The federal government is hoping to see the number of households with flood insurance increase. More than 9 million U.S. households are located in high-risk flooding areas. The National Flood Insurance Program says only half of those homes have flood insurance policies. Homes damaged by Hurricanes Katrina and Rita may have been protected by homeowners insurance, but that only covers wind and rain damage. The Insurance Information Institute says that either people cannot afford flood insurance or they don't think they are at risk. In recent years, low-carb eating has become more prominent with the emergence of the Atkins diet. Americans avoided carbohydrates in the hopes of shedding weight, but that trend may be changing.
The no-carb, protein-based diet, also known as the Atkins diet, took America by storm 2 years ago. Studies show that 9% of American adults were on the diet during its peak. This led businesses to make accommodations for dieters. Grocery stores stock their shelves with low-sugar, low-carb products. But the demand for Atkins products decreased, and Atkins Nutritionals, the company behind the craze, filed for bankruptcy in August.
I think it was just a matter of time before the decline in the Atkins would happen.
Many restaurants also had to rethink their menus to meet the needs of Atkins followers.
Let's go here. I like the look of this.
But recently, restaurant owners have noticed a change.
There's not as many people ordering low-carb meals as there was 2 years ago. But there seems to be a hardcore following of it almost that do it all the time.
Though the Atkins diet promised to help reduce weight, many asked at what cost.
I remember being really tired because I know that, you don't get a lot of energy just from protein. You get it from the carbs that you eat. So when you're really restricting yourself, I think it's harder to have that energy when your body needs it.
And that caused this Atkins alum to choose healthier avenues.
It's more of a lifestyle change rather than a quick fix, which is what I felt kind of the Atkins was, just a quick fix.
Though traces of the low-carb diet still remain, many Americans have welcomed carbohydrates back onto their plates. For Studio One News, this is Melinda Levine.
The Atkins company says it plans to focus on more nutritionally balanced meal and snack plans. Many critics say the Atkins diet rekindled a love for red meat, but do admit it also educated people on good and bad carbohydrates. And that's the news for now. Monty and Shannon?
Thanks, Mariah. You never know what the next fad is going to be. Something comes up one day, another the next.
Things are always changing, and that's one of my favorite parts of fall, in fact, is the fact that things always change. The leaves go away. It starts to get a little bit more chilly. I think we should go over the weather studio and find out what else we can learn about the weather with Matt Benz.
Well, thanks, Monty and Shannon. Yeah, we're guaranteed one thing into the fall season. We're guaranteed that our temperatures are eventually going to drop. And unfortunately, that's because winter's right around the corner. Let's take a look at our averages across our viewing area. Most areas in the upper Midwest can expect your average high this time of year to be in the mid-50s. With Winnipeg, Manitoba coming in at 9 degrees Celsius, and Denver, you can expect your average high to be around 64 degrees this time of year. And across much of the rest of the country, the parts across northern parts of the country can expect your high around 60 degrees, with Dallas seeing your average high around 77 degrees, and Los Angeles, your average high at 78 degrees. Well, across much of the desert southwest and the southwestern parts of the United States, we saw a pretty nasty storm system that got cut off from the jet stream and just kind of spun up down here, causing very heavy rainfall across much of this area, across Southern California, Nevada, and as well as Arizona. It's created a lot of problems because the storm system stalled out and caused a lot of heavy rain, which led to a lot of mudslides that caused basically blockages of roads and things of that sort. And we also saw a lot of records fall across much of the Las Vegas area here, where they saw their one-day rain total as well as their monthly rainfall total. They saw those records broken over the last couple days. This has led to some pretty severe flooding because they're not used to very heavy rainfall. Because of the heavy, hard earth across much of this area, rain just tends to slide right off and create very dangerous conditions as well. And we saw some pretty heavy storms across LA. Well, our jet stream right now, we have a pretty good jet stream across the northern parts of the country with a slight ridge across the northern tier of the states, but this is going to change, and we're going to see basically a split in the jet stream with the southern branch going down towards Texas and the northern branch heading all the way up to the Hudson Bay, and we're going to see some pretty nice warm temperatures across this area in between the splits, but where they come back together, we'll see slightly cooler temperatures as well. Well, we're going to quiz you now on what you know about the weather. And before 2005, what years saw the most tropical storms in the Atlantic? And you have a few choices there, and actually coming up later in the show, we'll talk a little bit more about Hurricane Wilma, as well as some problems in the upper Midwest with growing corn.
Thanks, Matt. Well, I'm at a loss for which year it would have been.
I have no idea either.
This year is going to be tough to beat, though. We've had a lot of them going on out there.
That's for sure. Well, let's go now to sports news with Nathan Shane.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. In Game 5 of the National League Championship Series, Albert Pujols joined the Legends of October with his go-ahead home run in the 9th. With the momentum back on their side, the St. Louis Cardinals sought to even the series against the Houston Astros. But the Astros were looking to tap the Redbirds for one more at Busch to go to the World Series. Already up by 2, Houston's Jason Lane does his part, going deep to left field with the solo shot. Astros open up the 3-run lead, and that's all that Roy Oswalt would need. Blowing the pitch past Reggie Sanders here, Oswalt went 7 strong innings, striking out 6. Now going into the ninth with a commanding 5-1 lead. There would be no dramatic comeback this time. Dan Wheeler gets the pop fly for the last out of the game, sending the Astros to the first World Series berth in the 44-year history of the organization. From the grass to the ice, where the New York Rangers do battle against the New York Islanders. In the third period, Miroslav Satan turns and puts the puck in. Islanders go up by 2. Rangers come back with a little help. Jaromir Jagr looking to pass into the zone. It's deflected by Islander defensemen into the net. The Rangers would tie the game and send it in overtime in this shootout, where Satan goes stick side for the go-ahead goal. Islanders win 3-2. The sport of soccer has continued to gain popularity over the years in the U.S. However, the sport is giving many of its participants reason to become concerned over a hidden injury. A study done by McGill University shows over 60% of college players suffer from symptoms of concussions each year. This trend has led to a new device that can assist This head protector has padding to absorb the contact between players and also during headers. About a dozen professional players, mainly in the U.S. and Canada, are using the full 90 headgear. And now it's time for the Studio One Sports Trivia question. Today's trivia question is, who was the first University of Southern California Trojan to be picked #1 in the NFL draft? And we'll have the answer to that question, plus more sports, later on in the show. Thanks, Monty and Shannon.
All right, thanks, Nathan. Hollywood has brought yet another video game to the big screen in the upcoming movie Doom. We'll preview that action film starring The Rock later in the show.
Also, children often grow up dreaming of playing games. Next, we'll meet a man who is helping his students do just that.
Need to plan an entire conference? Want to provide your employees with professional training and development? The Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota provides quality programs and services for career enhancement. Whether you want to attend educator workshops or need a certificate for your profession, the Division of Continuing Education can help you achieve success. Contact the Division of Continuing Education today and let us meet your professional needs.
George Bull and his partners found value in farina, the whitest part of wheat, and created cream of wheat. Patrick Haggerty founded Texas Instruments and helped it become one of the nation's high-tech giants. Raymond Rood is responsible for the modern diving board. His diving boards have been used in every Olympic competition since 1960. Chris Moen and Marlene Schott launched their food company through the UND Entrepreneurship Program. Will yours be next?
The University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation, together with thousands of alumni and friends, are making a difference at UND. Thanks to generous private support, many students have experienced the rich history, tradition, and spirit of the University of North Dakota. UND alumni and friends understand the importance of education and are proud to be part of UND's growth and success. Learn how your gift to the UND Foundation can benefit you and your university. You can make a difference.
Advance your career with a graduate business degree from the University of North Dakota. The graduate school at UND offers a variety of master's degrees that can help you stand out in the competitive business world. Our programs accommodate full-time students as well as working professionals. Our state-of-the-art facilities, dedicated faculty, and entrepreneurial training position graduates for careers as business leaders. Make your move towards a business leadership position. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
You're watching Studio One, twice named the best college television show in the nation by the National Association of College Broadcasters.
U.S. retail sales for 2004 show Americans spending nearly $10 billion on video games, consoles, and accessories. The gaming industry is growing, and with it have come the development of new careers. Computer science professor Ronald Marsh will tell us how people are training to become video game developers. Thank you for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Well, thanks for being here. With video game development, you've been working in this field a little bit from the college perspective. What sort of background do you have that enables you to teach the video game development?
I have kind of a unique background. Physics is one of my degrees, and as a physicist I was an optical engineer, so I have the lighting, the innate feel for color and texture, and I'm also an image processing person. That's my research now, and part of that is graphics, and so the whole video game industry and movie industry to me is exciting because of the technology and the artistry that goes into it.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of students or children might grow up saying that they want to grow up and play video games. Is that a realistic idea to have in mind, a realistic dream?
To play video games, sure. To be a video game developer, though, it's a very difficult field to get into. Very difficult. There's not a lot of companies that produce video games, And so they really have the pick of who they want to hire, and people that get into the field hardly ever leave. So few openings.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that it is a difficult field to get into. What does it take to become a developer? What sort of skills do you need to obtain?
Like most industries now that have computer science people, the video game industry, you're kind of expected to be a good programmer to begin with, obviously, to know the OpenGL library or DirectX or both. Those are the two major libraries. A lot of the new games incorporate artificial intelligence, so you should have some of that background, as well as the math, the physics, to understand the lighting model. Lighting's very complicated. And they also expect you to have kind of a business sense, because video game development is big business now. It's like a movie production.
Absolutely. Now, with these games, these video game development programs, are they common in different universities?
No, it's quite rare. In fact, I only know of one 4-year program somewhere on the West Coast, so it's a very rare program.
Well, before the show, we were talking about how video games are very similar to movies, and there's a lot of art, but there's also a lot of technical aspects to the video games. How do those components mesh? How do you mix the art with the technical?
The art is in part to actually hide some of the problems that you have with video games. It's called aliasing. You see it on television when the person's coat has a rainbow effect. So the artists and the computer scientists, when they're developing video games, they have to be very careful about the textures and the lighting models that they try to use to hide the artifacts that they don't have the computer power to get rid of. The movie industry has the computer power, and so they can do a lot more things.
Absolutely. Now, we actually have some video game footage from some of the students in your class that were working on developing a video game. We're going to go ahead and pull that up now and take a look at it. It's about 30 seconds long or so. So we'll take a look at this. What does it take to put together a video game like this? Can you explain it a little bit?
Well, this was actually a movie that they created, but it uses much of the same technology as a video game. The OpenGL was used to create the chairs and the table and the walls and the flying cards and the chips, as we see. But then a second program that you don't have in video games, a ray tracing program, was used to cast the lighting and to get the shadows and to bring the realism into the game.
Absolutely.
And that is what took so long. That
how
30
long
seconds,
does it take?
That 30 seconds of video took about 7 hours to generate.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. That's 30 seconds.
Yep. So now, once you move out of the college atmosphere, is there going to be a job market for these students that are studying development?
It's going to be a tough market. Fortunately, if you're good at creating video games or movies, you are probably also a very good computer scientist, and you may not find a job in the video game movie industry, but the market should be pretty good in other areas.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure we've sparked the interest of some of our viewers out there and some children that are interested in the video games. Thanks for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Coming up, when people think of scientific formulas, they might imagine researchers in labs. We'll talk with a man who uses a chemical process in his home to create a common beverage. Also, every business needs a sign identifying their trade. When regular signs lack pizzazz, we might turn to neon to add an extra punch. We'll spend a day with a neon sign maker next.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door.
Wall Street has come to the prairie through the A. Kirk Lanterman Investment Center at the University of North Dakota. This state-of-the-art facility in the College of Business and Public Administration provides hands-on experience in the world of modern finance. Students learn how financial markets react with lightning quickness to world events. They use cutting-edge technology and real-time data from more than 200 financial markets around the world. The Lanterman Investment Center provides the tools to make a career out of an education.
There are many things to be found at the University of North Dakota School of Law. You will find a place with small class settings, an affordable place that offers student interaction with both the state and federal court systems. You will find a school that has averaged over 90% placement for its graduates the past 5 years. But most importantly, you will find the skills and experience you'll need throughout your legal career. Find your future at the University of North Dakota School of Law.
Explore the educational opportunities available through the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota. With just one phone call or a click of the mouse, you'll find high-quality programs designed for today's adults. We have a large selection of continuing education courses that are available at a time and place that's convenient for you. Discover a world of learning through the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota.
An action-filled video game jumps onto the big screen. In the movie Doom, audiences will see a dark and horrifying future. Something has gone terribly wrong at a Mars research station. Demons, imps, and zombies have taken over the science station and are determined not to give it back. Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock, plays one of the hardened Marines who must battle the creatures that lurk behind the walls. He says the film must be seen from the beginning.
You go get your candy, you go to the bathroom, you do whatever you got to do, because if you miss, once you're out of the first 10 minutes of the movie, we're gone in the action and all hell breaks loose, and it's non-stop.
The cast members trained together as a real military unit. Part of their boot camp training was learning to accurately use many of the weapons in the film. Doom is rated R and will open in theaters October 21st. Now it's time to take a look at the events happening in your area. Some say Las Vegas glimmers like no other place in the country. The array of colors and special effects are mostly created by lighting. Today we spend a day in the life of a neon sign maker.
Neon signs and lights are virtually everywhere. We find them at bars, nightclubs, and casinos. We also see them along highways and around university campuses. Brad Christensen has devoted much of his time to the layout and creation of these visual wonders.
I saw an ad in the paper for a company who was looking for trainees for neon. I thought that would be fun to try, and I just ended up with a knack for it right off the start.
Brad says cutting, heating, and shaping glass tubes into letters and shapes can be tedious.
Not everyone can just bend glass. I've seen a lot of people just pull their hair out over it.
Not only can neon work be stressful, dealing with constant heat and flames can be downright dangerous.
Once in a while, I'll just get a pretty good burn on, usually on my forehands or on my fingers. You'll just make a heat like that and you'll forget you did it and you'll grab right onto it.
When Brad starts to feel the heat, his #1 fan often shows up to cool him down.
Daddy's job is pretty neat.
Brad says his special type of art is, of course, fragile. After he inspects his work and hands it over for installation, things don't always play out like they should.
You can be the gentlest person in the world and carrying it, all of a sudden it'll just go. It's so temperamental.
When Brad sees his finished product at the end of the day, he knows why he'll come back for the next.
You look at your end result and you can enjoy what you've done.
For Brad, neon lights are much more than a day's work. They are something everyone can enjoy. I'm Patrick Troush, reporting for Studio One.
Neon lights get their color from electricity, which pass through special gases in the glass tubes. A well-made neon light can last for more than 10 years. Coming up, horse owners might turn to a trainer if they want to teach their animal to race. We'll tell you who they call when they want a picture of their horse. That story plus news, sports, and weather in the next half hour of Studio One.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND has a long history of preparing students for successful careers. Through small classes and faculty involvement, students have unique opportunities to gain hands-on experience. Here, students launch a weather balloon to test a remote imaging device destined for Earth orbit. Students can also become involved in wind energy and fuel cell projects, design, build, and race a Formula One car, or even develop a camera that will generate agricultural images from the International Space Station. Find out for yourself how you can get involved at UND School of Engineering and Mines.
Do you need a flexible way to earn your degree? The University of North Dakota's Degrees After Hours program is designed to work around your full-time schedule. Whether you've got a family, a full-time job, or both, the Degrees After Hours program offers you flexible alternatives. You can earn a degree or take courses online through video conferencing and in the evenings or on weekends. UND's Degrees After Hours program fits your needs, your schedule, and your goals. Contact UND today.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Welcome back to Studio One.
Thanks for joining us today.
Well, there's a lot of different traditions out there, and small towns seem to have a whole bunch of traditions that are specific to their area. And one of the ones that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show involves apples.
Ooh.
Lots and lots of apples.
Apples.
So
do I smell pie? Maybe.
Maybe so.
All right, that's coming up. Also in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, many border communities rely heavily on Canadian tourists to boost their economies. We'll tell you why some are concerned that a new law could discourage Canadians from visiting the U.S.
Also, it can take a lot of skill and experience to take a perfect photo. We'll introduce you to a woman who goes to great lengths to make sure her special subjects are ready for the camera.
And one man was tired of mass-produced commercial beers, so he learned how to brew his own. We'll talk to him about the process of creating beer from scratch later in the show. But first, here's today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. Medical experts say they may have found the most powerful cancer medicine in the past decade. They say the drug, Herceptin, could be used for some breast cancer victims. About 20% of those battling breast cancer are able to use Herceptin as part of their treatment. A study found that it cut a woman's chance of a relapse in half. Herceptin targets disease cells rather than healthy ones, which makes it different than other cancer medications. However, some studies show that it carries a potential risk of heart problems. Park rangers in California believe a body found in a glacier is a World War II airman. Hikers notified rangers in Kings Canyon National Park on Wednesday that they had discovered a frozen body. The man was dressed in army clothes and a parachute. Rangers believe he could have come from a plane that crashed on November 18, 1942. His skin, hair, and teeth are all preserved, which will help in the identification process. Financial experts are warning that a major part of the economy could be at risk for a downturn. Federal Reserve Board Chair Alan Greenspan and others say a slowdown in the housing market could be coming sooner than expected. U.S. residents are currently enjoying low mortgage rates while the value of their homes continues to rise. But economists say that if this trend persists, it could lead to a rapid decline in the housing market. Economists warn that any change would have lasting effects on the entire economy.
Anytime there is a disruption or a change, either positive or negative in housing costs, there can be a huge impact on the overall growth of spending.
Despite these predictions, the housing market continues to remain strong. The construction of new homes is the highest it has been in 7 months. A recent study in California found that popular teens were more than twice as likely to light up a cigarette than their peers. Almost 1,500 students were asked to name their friends. The teens, whose names came up most often, were deemed the popular students. It was those students who were doing most of the smoking. Some researchers believe that the popular students smoke in order to look mature around their friends. Researchers fear if popular students make it look trendy to smoke, then other students will follow their lead. In 2 years, people traveling in and out of the United States will We'll soon see some changes. New laws aimed at increasing security will take effect, but they have many people wondering how it will impact tourism and trade.
At the Pembina border crossing in North Dakota, more than 1,000 vehicles come into the United States every day. Starting December 31st, 2007, new laws will require everyone to have a passport. Some tourists, already frustrated with the current regulations, think the new law may prevent their annual gaming trips to Canada.
It's just more red tape. You know, we have to register our guns, we have to pay fees to cross the border. I guess every year there's something new.
Many bordering businesses in the U.S. say the new law could hurt their profits. They hope the passport requirement won't discourage Canadians from traveling across the border.
Canadian dollar's doing fairly well. The exchange rate is really good. So a lot of people like to just come down to the States for the weekend. And for that little bit of a fee, I don't think that it's going to deter a lot of Canadians.
Currently, the U.S. requires a valid driver's license and a birth certificate. Validating these documents can be time-consuming and are not as secure as passports.
With a passport, we have some different technology available to us that we're able to scan the passport instantly to see if it's an actual travel document.
While passports are considered the most secure travel document, they take weeks to process and can cost up to $110. Several lawmakers are trying to remove the passport requirement, but if they're unsuccessful, travelers like these will soon have to carry a passport every time they cross the border. With photographer Patrick Wynn, this is Ann Clark reporting for Studio One.
The new passports will have a microchip embedded in the cover, along with holograms and security ink. They are scheduled to be issued by 2006. And that's the news for now. Monty and Shannon?
Thanks a lot, Mariah. Well, just when you think hurricane season is winding down...
I guess we were all hoping it was winding down.
Exactly. Something else pops up.
And we're calling her Wilma this time. Wilma is starting to come through, and we're going to have to see what happens with this one, and hopefully it won't be as severe as some of the others we've had this season. But let's go over to Matt and find out a little bit more about the weather.
Well, thanks, Monty and Shannon. Yeah, unfortunately, Wilma is in the news, and it's the 12th hurricane this season that's formed in the Atlantic, which ties the 1969 record for the number of hurricanes we've seen this year. Well, let's take a look at where Wilma's been and where it's gone. It actually formed just off the coast of Jamaica as a tropical depression, and it kind of meandered around the Gulf for a while, down in the Caribbean, and it eventually worked its way down to the south, forming into a hurricane down here, and it eventually moved up towards the northwest, towards Yucatan and Mexico, forming into a very powerful Category 5 hurricane with over 175-mile-an-hour winds, and it's bringing pretty heavy rains down to the south here, down towards Honduras, as well as folks out in the Yucatan have to look out for this storm. Well, we actually have a little bit of footage here to show you actually how a hurricane forms. It forms over warm water, and as warm water rises, it releases energy inside of the storm. As this energy releases, it releases rainfall as well as decreasing pressure in the middle of the storm, makes it a very powerful system to be reckoned with. And here's a shot of satellite footage of Wilma as it formed as a tropical system, and as it moves along here, you can see the eye as it formed and became a very powerful Category 5 hurricane. And as it works its way towards the northwest, it's forecasted to move off, wherever you see the blue area that's shaded here, off towards the northeast. And just because this area is in the blue here doesn't mean you're necessarily going to see landfall of this hurricane, but you can expect hurricane conditions or storm conditions from Wilma, and especially folks along Florida, you'll have to look out over the next couple days, as well as folks on the Yucatan Peninsula, as well as western parts of Cuba. Really have to look out for this storm because it's a very powerful storm that's out there right now. Well, wet conditions across parts of the upper Midwest have led to some cancellations of traditional fall activities.
Every year, Steve and Dorothy Enger educate and entertain hundreds of people at their family fun farm in Hatton, North Dakota. They are known for their pumpkins and most famous tradition, a themed corn maze. This summer, Hatton saw above average rainfall and cool temperatures. This means poor growing weather for both pumpkins and corn. A large portion of their pumpkin crop was lost, as well as one of their biggest attractions.
We have had a corn maze every year except for this year. And this year has been a tough year weather-wise for us. We've had so much rain in the spring and the summer that we were not able to get a corn maze planted.
The Engers say they have an enormous commitment to education. It's that commitment that keeps their hopes high this year.
We've done the best that we can. people are still coming out and they're still having a good time, and it's just one of those things that happen and we just have to live with it.
The Ingers are hoping for a warm, sunny summer next year. Until then, they are providing children with a fun learning environment, even without their 13-acre corn maze. I'm Hannah Bloomberg reporting for Studio One.
The Ingers have been awarded several times for the lessons that they teach children every year. Well, here's a recap of your weather IQ question. And your answer to this is 1933, and this is really an area that we had a lot of hurricanes and a lot of storms form this year, and we actually tied the record again this year, as well as the number of hurricanes that we had this year. So Monty and Shannon.
Thanks, Matt. Well, at least it's not too often we have so many storms.
No,
That's
record-breaking year in a bad way.
In a negative way, yeah.
Well, let's turn to some news in sports with Nathan Shane.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. They are often the enemy of all or completely forgotten. It's not a very glamorous job, but like the players on the field, their role is vital in the outcome.
It's a perfect night for football in East Grand Forks, Minnesota. But this story isn't about the kids in helmets. This is a story about the often unappreciated guys in stripes, the referees. Dave Young is a veteran of officiating. He has been doing it for 12 years.
Hey, good half, good competitive half. We're calling what we see, okay?
But there's something a little different about Dave's crew, something that gives him a lot of joy.
It's such a blessing. It's so much fun. We can go out there and have fun, and we love football. We enjoy being around the game.
His crew is very familiar with each other, considering they all grew up in the same house. Dave and his 4 sons, Ben, Mike, Christian, and youngest son and ref in training, Seth, have been together on the same crew for 3 years. This leads to some obvious advantages.
You know each other so well, which is good and sometimes not so good.
The field becomes a place where Dave can share fatherly wisdom.
He wants to come in. He's a fan, but you got to tell him stay outside the numbers. Like
you can tell when your dad's mad at you, and you just take one look at him, and he's glaring at you, and it's like, oh man, what did I miss?
For the youngest member, Ben, a lot of experience was gained before he started.
When I was younger and didn't ref, I'd go to the games with him and see bad plays or bad calls.
But reffing is a good call for the Youngs, helping them grow together as a family and a crew at the same time.
Football is only the beginning of the family's officiating experience. Between them, they also do basketball, baseball, and volleyball. And now the answer to this week's Studio One Sports Trivia question. Question, who was the first USC Trojan to be picked #1 in the NFL draft? The answer to that is B, Ron Yeri, who was picked in 1968 by the Minnesota Vikings. And that's the sports. Monty and Shannon.
Thanks, Nathan. Small towns often pull together their resources when people need help. We'll take a look at one dedicated group of women who bring together their baking skills for a great cause.
Also, some people have an eye for photography. We'll meet a woman who uses her gift to capture her favorite subjects.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I'm a really good people person.
I really love working with people.
I'm very, very motivated.
I'm a great people person.
I am really motivated.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
Did I mention I'm great with people?
The University of North Dakota College of Business and Public Administration offers real degrees for real people. Our nationally recognized faculty can help you earn a master's degree in business through evening classes.
Taking these evening classes were very convenient for me, and that's how I was able to complete the program.
We offer degrees for people who work, raise families, and lead busy lives. The UND College of Business and Public Administration, real degrees for real people.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND offers students exceptional learning opportunities. Undergraduates are helping faculty design and build unmanned aerial vehicles to test remote imaging devices. They're also converting wind energy into hydrogen. Geological science students are contributing to environmental research. Extracurricular activities include designing, building, and racing a fuel cell car. Make the most of your college experience at UND's School of Engineering and Mines.
Let the University of North Dakota become your partner by providing your business with services to enhance your workforce. The UND Office of Workforce Development has extensive experience conducting employee satisfaction research, strategic planning, focus groups, and grant development. Call us for further information. Workforce Development, a service of the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota.
You're watching Studio One, your source for news, weather, sports, and entertainment.
Many of us remember seeing our mothers or grandmothers toiling in the kitchen. One group of women meets annually for a day of fun and some extreme baking.
At this small, quiet church in rural North Dakota, there is a feast being served in the basement. Unlike many church banquets, however, there is only one item on the menu.
In the spring we make rhubarb pie, and in the fall we make apple pie.
This Ladies' Aid group has been baking pies for more than 15 years, and these women have gotten quite comfortable in their pie-making stations.
It seems like every year or every time we bake apples, the same ladies have the same jobs. And two of the ladies mix the dough for the pie crust, two roll the pie crust, two ladies flute the pies to finish them up, and some wash apples, and then we have quite a few ladies peeling apples.
Though some things are done the old-fashioned way, these Sisters of the Sweets do some very efficient baking. These ladies can make dozens of pies and thousands of dollars in just one day.
This year we baked 170, and we have made as many as 242. We've made between $1,500 and $1,800 and given it to World Hunger. When this started about 15, 18 years ago, there was so many apples hanging on the trees, and with World Hunger being so prevalent, the ladies decided they needed to do something.
With this benevolent goal in mind, the ladies show how simple it is to help. After all, they do it just one slice at a time. Reporting for Studio One, I'm Amanda Nelson.
The women raise the money for various needs each year. This year, they say the money will probably go towards the church's 125th anniversary fund. Passports will become more common to everyone within the next couple of years. State and Homeland Security has mandated that everyone crossing into the United States will need to show a passport. This rule will take into full effect by 2008. It could discourage weekend travelers who lack the proper documentation. On the other hand, security will be tightened, making it more difficult for terrorists to enter into the country. We wanted your thoughts on the issue.
Oh, I don't think it's a good idea because we're going to lose a lot of people coming back and forth. Because if you're just going to drive up there for overnight, nobody's going to go get a passport for that. And their passports are expensive.
I think there should be something to identify you as an American citizen.
I think it's a good waste of time and money and people force, whatever people it takes to enforce the law. It's kind of ridiculous.
I don't go up there very often, so it doesn't really concern me that much.
You got to have a passport to go in the next state. I mean, it's just another country.
They need to have something that's common between all the countries.
Well, we live only 20 miles from the Canadian border, and I think it'll be a real hassle if we have to have a passport to go up there.
Many people deal with obstacles in the workplace on a daily basis. For some professionals, however, these obstacles come with 4 legs and a mind of their own.
It can be difficult to choose between a love for one thing and a passion for another.
Look at how photogenic your horse is. Which one is it?
Photographer Christy Doye didn't have to.
Awesome, Taj. Thank you.
Since she was a little girl, she's had a love for horses. Later, she discovered a passion for photography and found a way to combine the two.
I helped my girlfriend take pictures of horses and sell them, and found out that I enjoyed taking pictures of horses.
Christy is a professional equine photographer. She specializes in taking pictures of horses, but also does senior portraits and weddings.
This is a decent 3/4 shot of this gelding. I always try to show my clients at least 1 or 2 decent shots so that they get an idea of what they're getting.
Christy often works alone, but there are times when she needs a little help.
Christy prefers to bring an assistant with her when she goes on her shoots. She says it helps to have someone next to the horse to keep the animal calm and to keep the pose steady for the picture.
People who sell horses will often hire a photographer, like Christy, to take confirmation shots. This allows prospective buyers to view the horses before seeing them in person.
You know, like for quarter horses, the jog shots and stuff like that, the movement shots. Back over there.
Christy says one of the most critical elements to a good photograph is the position of the horse's ears. The animal looks attentive and relaxed when its ears are facing forward. It can sometimes be difficult to focus the horse's attention in order to achieve this look.
And when I ask you to, can you squeeze this?
The horse's legs also need to be positioned accordingly. This can vary with each kind of horse.
When I'm getting ready to go out and do a shoot for a particular breed, I'll sit down and study every picture I can find on either the internet or magazines, trying to learn what that particular breed is like.
Although Christy's growing popularity has expanded her business into the surrounding Grand Forks, North Dakota area, she would like to take it farther.
I would love to travel all over. I know several photographers that I talk with online, and they are fortunate enough to be able to travel all over, and there are such amazing different breeds.
Not everyone can combine their love and passion.
I can't imagine doing anything else. Just have you come over
Fortunately for Christy, the two match perfectly. I'm Virginia Stika reporting for Studio One.
In order to capture the horses in action, Christy uses a camera that shoots 8 frames per second. This allows her to capture each instance of the horse's movement. Many people give bottles of wine or alcohol for gifts, but sometimes the best gifts are homemade. Coming up, we'll talk to an experienced beer maker and see the processes of creating a homemade beer.
The College of Business and Public Administration at the University of North Dakota is proud to announce the Page Family Marketing Center. A gift from alumni Greg and Cindy Page, this center promises real-world experiences as students begin careers in marketing. The center includes a specially designed conference room for focus group research. An adjacent lab offers real-time access to software and data for marketing decisions. The Page Family Marketing Center, your next step in marketing.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door. No matter what your schedule, no matter when you work, no matter what job you have now, this is your opportunity to accomplish your goals. Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota can work around your busy schedule. Bachelor and master's degrees are earned through convenient, flexible, and high-quality classes. Complete degrees are available online through correspondence study and on weekends and evenings. Earn a degree on your terms with Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota.
Words like hops, a mash tun, and brew kettle may sound strange, but they are all ingredients and equipment needed to brew beer. Making beer is a chemical process that requires patience and skill, but it can also be fun. John Stika is here to show us how he has been making and brewing his own beer for more than a decade. Thanks for coming on the show today, John.
Good to be here.
Well, there are many beers out there that you can purchase, and you know, what distinguishes one beer from another?
Well, it's the ingredients that are used. The water is probably the biggest ingredient, malt, hops, and the yeast.
Okay, so all those things give different flavors and textures
all
to your
those different combinations.
Okay, well, why did you get into this? What was the reason you wanted to start making your own beer?
I liked a lot of different beers, and living in North Dakota, it wasn't so easy to get some of those, so I decided I'd make my own.
Okay, and you brought equipment with you today. If you could take us through the process quickly, just how it starts out and the different ingredients that you put in there.
Sure. I brew from scratch, so I start with malt, which is sprouted barley.
Okay.
And then I run it through this little hand crank mill, which just crushes it.
So this is just, it almost looks homemade. You got a 2-liter pop bottle, it looks like, on the top there.
It's a manufactured setup, but you have to provide your own bottle for the funnel, the hopper.
All right.
So, and once that's crushed, then it goes down into the mash tun, what's called a mash tun.
And this is a mash tun. It looks like a cooler to me.
Sure.
But there's some special stuff in the bottom.
Yep, just a regular water cooler, and has a false bottom, a screen in the bottom.
Okay.
To screen out the liquid after it's done being mashed.
Okay, so then after it's put through that sieve of sorts, I guess, through that mesh, what happens to the liquid then?
Okay, that malt and hot water then gets drained off into a brew kettle, and you know, I have a big one here, but anything will do, any big pot that you have. Okay. That's where it's boiled with the hops.
Okay, now you mentioned the hops, and these almost look like Brussels sprouts to me, but what are the hops and why are they important to the beer?
The hops are a vine that grows this. These are the female flowers, and it's just like any other herb. You dry it and then use it for its flavor, but it provides the bitterness.
Okay. And you actually grow your own hops?
Yes.
Okay. And we're looking at a picture here of your hops on the side of your house. That's a large plant.
They would get taller if my house was taller.
Okay. So it's as big as you let them grow. And then you just dry these yourself in a dehydrator?
Right. You just lay them on a screen or dry them in a food dehydrator.
Okay. So you add the hops to the brew kettle, and that's mixed together. What's after that?
Then that boils for about an hour, and then once it's done boiling, it has to be cooled down, and once it's cooled down, then it goes into the fermenter.
Okay. How long does it have to stay in the fermenter before it's ready to drink? Because that is the last step?
It's the last step before packaging.
Okay.
You know, however you're gonna keep it, but it'll have to ferment at least a week, usually 2. But then it has to condition longer than that.
Okay.
Once you package it.
And you brought a keg. This looks like a pop keg to me.
Right, just a standard 5-gallon Cornelius keg that restaurants use.
Sure, so you can store your beer in there when it's finished. It's a lot of equipment, it seems like. Some of it looks somewhat manufactured, a little bit of your own manufacturing in there too, a little bit.
Right.
How expensive is it to get into this hobby?
You can probably get into it for less than $100. You don't need to brew from scratch. You can buy malt syrup, you can buy pelleted hops, you can bottle your beer instead of keg it. All those things will make it a lot less expensive to get started.
What is the most unique beer that you've ever made?
Probably the sweetgrass ale, which is, sweetgrass is a grass that has a real vanilla type of aroma, and I decided to use it in a beer that I was brewing, and it came out, it was really unique.
So it's actually made from grass, and I wouldn't think that grass would be something you'd put in beer. Where did you get the idea?
Sweetgrass has been used for, Native Americans use it for ceremonies. It has a real strong aroma, and a friend of mine suggested I add it to some beer, and so I used it like you would hops to give it that extra flavor.
Okay, and we have some magazines here, a Brew Your Own magazine. It's a national magazine. You wrote a few articles that got into the magazine. What were the articles about that you published in here?
One of them was on the sweetgrass ale. The other one was on how to make your own malt from barley. And then the last one was just on growing my own hops.
Okay. What is it you like most about brewing your own beer? Why is it rewarding to you?
I'm kind of a do-it-yourselfer anyway, and so I really enjoy the process, but then I enjoy the variety of beers that I can make.
For people who maybe want to start and they don't know, all the things that go into it, some people might be under 21. What are the laws regarding making your own beer at home?
You can make up to 200 gallons of beer per adult over 21 in your household per year, which is a lot of beer. I've never made that much myself in a year. But otherwise, there's really, the only other law is you can't sell it without a license.
Sure. Okay. Well, there's a lot of stuff that we went through in a short amount of time. If someone wants to start, how can they quickly start?
You can buy kits. The ingredients in the kits these days are very good. The quality of the ingredients, they include instructions, tell you how to do it with things you probably already have, like a brew kettle at home.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show today, John. It was very interesting learning about your sweetgrass beer, especially.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Well, you're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota. We'll be back right after this.
The UND College of Business and Public Administration is reaching out to rural America. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is working to connect North Dakota veterans with important information. North Dakota veterans can use the internet to access employment and business resources, health and benefits they deserve, housing information, and much more. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is funded in part by the North Dakota Congressional Delegation. North Dakota veterans and their families can get connected by visiting go.ndgrow.com.
Become a leader in healthcare with a graduate degree from the University of North Dakota. The Graduate School at UND offers degree programs and advanced practice certificate programs in the allied health professions and nursing. Our faculty give you the individual attention you need to help you attain your career goals. Distance programs for practicing professionals allow you to pursue graduate studies without interrupting your career. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I love working with people.
I'm a people person.
I consider myself to be highly motivated.
I'm a real self-starter.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
I can offer you much more than just good people skills.
You're hired.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
Tune in next week on Studio One. Hunting is a popular pastime across the nation, but being in the outdoors can be difficult for some. We'll look at a specific hunting retreat that offers hunters with disabilities a chance to experience nature and enjoy their sport. We'll have that and other news and entertainment stories for you.
We're going to leave you now with pictures of fall pumpkins from all of us here at Studio One. Have a great week.